Hello and welcome to Hollywood Avalon with your host Mary Jones.
And Dennis Link.
And I don't know that I'm very loud, but I guess I'm coming through. Doesn't matter.
You need new headphones.
I do need
$20.
Hey, I spent $20 on these headphones and I'm going to wear them until they die.
Well, mission accomplished. Good job.
I have like at least one other pair that is identical and also has the same problem. So, do you want to hear about how many holes my socks have? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, look, I'm very thrifty. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that, Dennis.
That's true.
Have you looked at the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Leave me my broken headphones.
Pretty shabby looking thing.
Yeah.
You know, we've been kind of doing some kind of silly films, like films that aren't really that close to the Arthurian legend.
Well,
some
no, wait a
barely
minute.
even touching it. You know,
That's not true. I mean, I think I did a pretty good exegesis on the Arthurian elements of Star Wars.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's been a while since we had something that did a really deep dive, and I think we finally found it with this episode.
Of what?
MacGyver.
Yeah, here's the thing. I thought, like, what should we do for April? April is, the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead earth. And so I thought, what should we, sit and watch? And I thought about doing Apocalypse Now. That would be very appropriate, T.S. Eliot and Holy Grail and all that stuff. And then I couldn't decide which cut I wanted to do. And then I thought, well, we should do Percival Le Gaulois, the Eric Romer, I'm not sure how you say it, film. It's French. It's like 2.5 hours long. It's, again, the Holy Grail, not just Arthurian, but it's Easter this month. Easter was yesterday when we were recording. I had all these thoughts about, like, what should we do? I'm still kind of waiting on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And then last night I had insomnia, I guess, or something like that. And I thought, no, we're doing MacGyver.
Now, you've seen this.
I've seen this.
So you're not going to be surprised by anything.
Well, no, I don't have to be surprised on this show.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of hard given some of the films that we've been watching.
Yeah.
Star Wars, was I surprised by Star Wars? Was I surprised by Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Probably not.
No. So, yeah. Yeah, we're watching an episode. Actually, it's a two-parter episode of
Nice.
MacGyver.
I've never seen this. In fact, I've never seen an entire episode of MacGyver. I've seen part of one.
Yeah?
And was pleased.
Was pleased?
So the thing is, like MacGyver was like, when I was growing up, I was like, oh, that's for adults. That's serious stuff for adults. And then later I was like, oh, that's just, porn for housewives.
Well, I think that's, how much of that is just influenced by watching The Simpsons?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's what, Selma?
Patty and Selma watch
Yeah.
MacGyver, and I guess it's Selma has this huge thing about Richard Dean Anderson, but anyway.
But it just seemed like it was a pretty simple premise, like here's a guy and he fixes gadgets out of like shoelaces and things. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And but I don't know what the background is.
That's about right. Yeah.
Is he an investigative reporter? Is he a
I can't for the life of me remember what his actual job is. I think, if I remember correctly, he is ex-Special Forces.
Oh.
So this is one of those shows from the 80s where it's like, I'm a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
And we're turning that into a television show. Miami Vice is probably the best version of that.
Yeah.
Miami Vice is great. I've started watching it. It's on Tubi or something, and I was blown away by the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like great television.
Yeah.
Miami Vice got some pretty weird though. What was it? What was that one episode where, like, is it James Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. That went some weird. Like, they're not just busting people for cocaine. They're taking
is he
lot
like
of it.
a ghost or something? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in that episode. There's my Miami Vice. I guess the A-Team, they're all like ex-Special Forces, Vietnam, wrongly impugned on their reputation. And
for a crime they didn't commit.
Yeah, I seem to remember the opening. The A-Team was a dumb show.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Miami Vice was not a dumb show. That at least as far as I remember.
I can't even pretend that it's not a dumb show.
Yeah, no,
like,
A-Team's dumb.
Yeah.
This is closer to the A-Team from what I remember. than Miami Vice.
And that's the thing. Like I was like, oh, that looks so boring. That's so, whatever. But then when I started watching like some 80, we watched an episode of
Remington Steele?
No, I'm not talking about that.
Still burned by that one, huh?
That still hurts.
Yeah.
That still hurts how dumb that was and how much I loved it.
Uh-huh.
But no, what was it that we watched? Highway to Heaven.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like there's all these shows I thought was like, oh, that's an adult show. Like I can't watch that. It's too boring. Like I can't handle it. It's like Kramer versus Kramer. And
which we are going to watch someday for the main show.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know that's like your platonic version of the adult movie you just don't want to watch.
Yeah. No. That's like my what's Michael and what's his name in The Office? Toby.
Yeah.
That's my Toby.
Oh my God.
That movie is my Toby. Divorce.
Wait, it's the divorce that's turning you off and not having to sit and watch like Dustin Hoffman be Mr. Sensitive Dad, I guess, or something, some crap.
I don't know.
I'm still mad at Tootsie.
Yeah. And you should be.
Yeah. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about Tootsie, but I'm still mad at that movie.
Anyway, so we saw an episode of Highway to Heaven that had Jonathan Frakes in it. Which I loved, and it was dumb. It was dumb like a A-Team episode. I was like, this is great.
It's dumb, but it's entertaining.
It's entertaining, but dumb. And
does in that episode does his father think he's like King Arthur or something?
He might.
It might be something like that because we might have to go back and rewatch that for this. Yeah. Oh, man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think there's sound effects and him staring off into space. Yeah.
Yeah, Highway to Heaven was definitely like on the on the spectrum of dumb shows. It's like, there was that. There was like The Fall Guy. That's a dumb show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a show that I watched a lot of. I enjoyed it. Look, don't get me wrong, people. When I say something is dumb, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like crap.
But the thing is that like back then there was so much dumbness that you just didn't even filter to us.
Yeah.
It's just we were used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought Remington Steele was like, oh no, that's a classy show. And then when we watched it, oh my God, I was burying my head. Like this is so embarrassing.
The thing is, I want to go back and watch more Remington Steele to see, like, was it just that we didn't, like, catch the vibe of the show the right way? Maybe it's supposed to be that kind of over-the-top campy. I don't know.
Like, I remember Stephanie Zimbalist, her voiceover was terrible. Like, it was always terrible. There was way more of it than I remembered, and it was just, the show was...
But, Pierce Brosnan...
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like as the show goes on, there's less and less Pierce Brosnan. He just kind of shows up like as her fantasy dude, and it's
disappointing that there's less of him. Although like I love when he's in films. I kind of want to go back and rewatch The Long Good Friday.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was great in that.
I love him in that. He's so good. Anyway, so look, MacGyver is a dumb show, right? And the thing is. Shows in the 80s were really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot about television, and I watch a lot of television. I don't watch as much television as I used to, unfortunately, and that has more to do with like our job and like just life in general. But it's not. I'm not a snob about television. I genuinely enjoy dumb things, right?
Yeah.
And when I think about what was kind of light drama in the 80s, drama, action, whatever, there were innovative shows at the time, your Hill Street Blues, your Miami Vice. Moonlighting's a great example. Moonlighting is so much fun to go back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of shows weren't.
Oh, and Cheers, of course.
Well, that's a comedy.
Yeah.
No, see, the thing is, in comedy's a little different. I mean, I probably think about comedy more. Obviously, the 70s had a lot of really innovative comedies, and I can still go back and can I watch All in the Family? Absolutely, yes. MASH, whatever. Maude, Mary Tyler Moore Show is amazing. There's so many great comedies, right? When you think about dramas in the 70s, they didn't. I don't know, they didn't stick around as much, and you don't see them replayed unless it's things like The Rockford Files. Rockford Files is great.
Yeah.
Man, I will go to bat any day of the week for the Waltons. I swear to God, I know people think I'm weird about that, but the Waltons is really good. It's corny in some ways, but it's a really interesting show. And in the 80s, they get dumb. They get really stupid because Reaganism.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do think it's all related, right? The TV got dumb because look who was president.
Yeah.
And Hollywood said, oh, America's dumb now? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So you end up with stuff like the A-Team, right? And you end up with stuff like MacGyver. MacGyver is a show that thinks it's smart, but is actually really dumb. Again, it's like this dude who's ex-special forces, and the whole idea around the show is he's so smart that he can defuse a bomb with a paperclip, right? He can turn, his shoe into a bomb, whatever. And that's why we have the TSA. So,
but his hair looks pretty good though.
It's a mullet. It's not nice hair. That's not hair. Look, that has never been good hair on anybody.
It was back then.
Oh, at the time, people thought that was great, but people had terrible... Like, here's the thing. One thing I like about our show is that we go back and we look at fashions in the 80s, and, like, sometimes I'm kind of like, actually, I kind of think all the women look great. There is a sort of, fabulousness about 80s fashion for women that I'm just like, bring that back. I'll even take the shoulder pads. I'm not a fan of shoulder pads on me, but you know what? I'll take it. That's fine. Yeah. Give me the big hair. Give me, like, the makeup. Give me the colors. My God, the colors. Seriously, like, I'm okay with women's 80s fashion. Now, guys, depends on what you're talking about. All right? Because, man, when I see Richard Dean Anderson with that mullet, I just want to jump out a window. No, I'm sorry. So look, I didn't watch a lot of this show, right? This is coming like season 7, episode 7.
Spinning its wheels.
It's
like, please kill us.
Right. When you get to the point where we're going to have a dream episode where he gets hit in the head and does a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court, kill this show. This show is done. Why are we doing magical, this is bad.
Of course, this is back when writers could like own a house.
Yeah, for like 3 spec scripts.
So.
Yeah, so this is not going to be good. And the thing is, one thing that I keep thinking about is this episode airs in 1991. So I'm like probably 12 years old when I'm watching it, right? 1991. At this point, we have Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Did X-Files start around then? Or
I think X-Files is like a year or 2 later.
Yeah. So
it's not much later.
Yeah. This is Friday the 13th.
Yes. But like by this time, we're not even in the 80s anymore. We're now in the 90s. Although in 91, this is part of the long 1980s, as I've said. But we already have these innovations in television. You watch MacGyver, and then you compare it to like Law and Order. Early Law and Order is great. I mean, they're basically just taking the film The Naked City and just kind of doing it. Which, if you guys haven't seen the film The Naked City from 1948, it's a fantastic film. They incorporated elements of Italian neorealism, shooting on location in New York City. I mean, like it's a really great film, worth seeing. It really influenced, I think, the way Law and Order works, especially all the cop stuff. That show, you can still watch old Law and Order, right? And it looks good and has great actors because they're pulling all these guys off of Broadway. And in 91. Was Jerry Orbach on there by then? I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't matter because even before he was on there, you still had it's still a great show, right? So you've got like these kind of interesting dramas coming onto television. LA Law is a good show, man.
Was NYPD Blue on then, or is that?
I think it was going to come on soon.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So you're going to have NYPD Blue come on. Like I said, you have Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks, possibly the most innovative show ever on television.
Yeah.
It's still mind-blowing to watch, right? And here is freaking MacGyver limping along being like, we're going to do a King Arthur episode. What the hell? So yeah, I can't wait to watch this with you and just see how you react to it. Because this is not going to be good. This is the only thing I have actually sat and watched an entire episode of MacGyver for. And I watched it and I went, well, at least I've had the experience of seeing MacGyver. Because even at 12, I was just like, man, I don't know, this is too much for me. This is a little too dumb.
So if it's two-parter, like I guess they have like the eclipse thing. Like he seems like someone that would like figure out the eclipse thing. I
feel like they probably do that. Yeah, because every time you see somebody do a Connecticut Yankee, they do the eclipse story.
Yeah.
Which it's
magic.
Exactly. It's like the most memorable thing out of the book, which is a shame just because the book is amazing, right?
Yeah.
I've talked about before in other episodes. There's a lot happening in that book. It is very much a satire on like Southern nostalgia for the antebellum period. It is a satire of, you know, industrialization and the 19th century, of the Gilded Age. There's a lot going on in that book, and it presages the horrors of World War I in a way that is really fascinating.
This sounds like right up MacGyver's alley.
See, here's the thing. Connecticut Yankee, you know, Henry Morgan, he goes back to the 5th century, 5th, 6th century, whatever, and, you know, he introduces machines. He introduces industrialism, right? And what he creates is a horror, right? He ends up creating the war that ends the Camelot. And he makes it just this you know, killing fields, right? It's a terrible, sad ending in this book, right? But now you have MacGyver being the guy doing that. And I don't remember a whole lot about this episode, but I'm kind of like, oh no, is he going to introduce industrialization? Is he going to show him all his tricks on how he, you know, can turn like a rock into a missile or some stupid thing, whatever he comes up with? Does he show them gunpowder? I don't know. And like, is this going to just, I don't know. They don't even understand what the book was about. Like, I'm actually starting to get angry now that I'm thinking about it. Like, well, how is this show going to really make me mad, actually?
You know, I'd like to kind of go over 2 years or so into our show, 2 more years into Hollywood Avalon.
So when we've been doing it for like 4 years.
Yeah. I'm curious how many American movies, shows, whatever, are just this story. It seems like America, it's like, well, like, how do we figure America into it? Oh, Mark Twain.
I mean, that's true. And I don't think that's even wrong necessarily. I mean, it is kind of, that's the thing. Like, Connecticut Yankee is the one major American contribution to our theory and legend, right? And I think it's a completely legitimate addition to the story because, I mean, first of all, why the hell not, right? Yeah. I mean, these are they're stories, and they've been stories for over 1,000 years. And I
just say it seems like every TV show has a Christmas Carol, and it has a Connecticut Yankee.
Okay, sort. Let's now when we say every show has.
There's got to be a Dallas.
Oh, God. See,
Dukes of Hazzard.
Now you're making me wonder how many shows have actually done this, because you're right. There are so many like special episodes that used to be such a thing on TV shows when TV shows were allowed to be corny.
Yeah.
And TV shows are not corny in the same way, which is actually to their detriment, right? That's the thing. Like, I'm making fun of MacGyver. I kind of also admire the fact that they did something that's stupid.
Yeah.
Because TV shows aren't stupid in a way that's fun anymore. Doing this is exactly what you're talking about. Every TV show would do some version of A Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life. Whether you're talking about Family Ties, whether you're talking about Married with Children, you know, like they would all do that, right? I'm trying to think of something else but yeah, I've definitely seen like plenty.
Did Family Ties ever do a King Arthur? I mean,
no, I don't remember them. I don't remember them ever like hitting Alex P. Keaton on the head. On the other hand, I mean, we have Back to the Future. He could just go back there. I mean, why didn't they make that movie, Robert Zemeckis? Why instead are you giving us dead-eyed Tom Hanks in more than one film now? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. This is gonna be really dumb, but I mean, is this better or worse than, you know, like a Neame drama on TV, or like just a TV show now that would have the stupidity and the guts to do a King Arthur, a Connecticut Yankee episode? I mean, that isn't like, I don't know, Rick and Morty or something like that. Like, that doesn't count. You know, The Simpsons, it doesn't count. I'm talking about, you know, is there going to, like, you're not going to have an episode of Law and Order that does this, right? You know, you won't even get like a Parks and Rec. You get hit in the head and Andy thinks he's, you know, back in Connecticut Yankee. Like, even shows like that wouldn't do that.
Fun,
but here's the thing: because a lot of comedy has gone into the fake documentary or some sort of version of that, you know, they don't do that type of stupid thing anymore. Or, you know, like a show like The Good Place, it's just the wrong vibe. Like, it just doesn't fit what they're doing.
I think Malcolm in the Middle could have gotten away with that.
Yes, they could have. You're right.
That skirted. Also, Scrubs.
Scrubs could have gotten away with it.
They kind of had the same.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Those shows could have gotten away with it, and they never did it, and they should have.
Yeah. My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
I could have seen that.
See,
definitely.
You know what? I miss shows like that, shows that had a sort of looseness of their premise that you could do something dumb like that.
Yeah.
Everything feels too controlled now. Mm-hmm. And part of that, I think, is they just don't have big writer rooms. You know, it has to do with the constraints of networks now and the streaming services. Like TV is just so constrained. Film is so constrained. Everything is just squeezed to death that you can't do a dumb episode where your hero gets bonked on the head and he wakes up in Camelot. So you want to go watch that?
Yeah, sure.